All right, welcome back. Another edition live from Drew's house. Hope you're all doing well, trying to finish out the week strong here. Another week in quarantine. My name is Drew Moholland. My wife, Sarah Conway. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Drew.
Dog has jumped off the table. You guys just went for a nice walk. How was it?
It was beautiful out. It was very nice.
Good. Excellent. Nice walking this time of year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dogs are getting spoiled while we're in quarantine. A lot of time with us.
We went on 3 walks yesterday.
Yes. Good times. Good times. Anything new in your life? Like, I don't know the answer to this.
Well, Drew, I cannot think of anything off the top of my head.
Well, that's good.
So
I have done something I don't usually do. You know how I told you our coffee game's getting weak?
mm-hmm.
I've gone back-to-back shows with the I Love Dogs mug.
Okay.
Which is fine. It's my favorite one.
We do love dogs.
What do you got?
I've done this one before. But it's
That's
also one
us.
of my favorites.
Yeah.
Because it's us and we look really good.
Good times. You know what? You're going to like this guy. I know you've never met him before. He's a regular guest on my show when we actually do the whole in-studio thing back in Newburyport. John Moynihan is the executive director of the Firehouse Center for the Arts. If you've never been there, it is an awesome place to see shows. Hopefully we can get back in there someday soon. But I would like to see how he's doing. I know it's not an easy time for a lot of those theaters and all that, but it is an awesome, awesome place in Newburyport. Check it out on the other side of this pandemic. And John is a really cool interview as well. And you know what? I know he's ready to go. So if you don't mind, Sarah, let's get right to him.
Sounds good.
All right, here we go. John Moynihan joining us, Executive Director of Firehouse Center for the Arts. Hello, John. How are you?
Good, Drew. How are you doing this morning?
Doing good. You got a good Zoom game there. I like the earbuds.
Hey, so my family doesn't hear what's going on up here.
Is that right? Yeah,
You
isolated?
never know.
You're quarantining in quarantine? Is that what you're doing?
I'm quarantining in quarantine. Exactly. No, it's also, they've heard so many of my conversations over the past 8 weeks that I try to, help them out every once in a while.
Yeah, are you losing your mind a little bit? Or what's the family dynamic?
3 kids, 8, 5, and 2.
Oh.
And my wife, of course.
Yeah. 8, 5, and 2 seems like very 8, 5, and 2 seems like very difficult numbers to me.
Well, the 5-year-old was 4 until Tuesday. She just turned 5. So she was great until then. No, we found the 8-year-old is the one that's been struggling the most in terms of having to try to do schoolwork and all that type of stuff. Whereas the 5-year-old doesn't start kindergarten until next year. So
Okay.
that's been the craziest. But yeah. How about you guys? How's it been being at home for you?
Well, it's a shorter drive to the studio.
That works.
Yeah. It's been fun. We're having fun with our little show. It's different, it's a struggle for everyone, I know, but I don't know. From this perspective, I have no complaints. We're having fun with the show and had some good guests on. I do find it's easier to get guests. It seems like people have a lot of time on their hands.
It's true. And I also have to say that I am by far the least impressive guest that you've had on your show so far. So I appreciate you putting up with these great people.
Well, I appreciate the compliment, but I think people will soon find that is not true. You're always one of my favorite interviews, and so here we go. People are going to get to meet John Moynihan again. I know people have seen it in studio, but now this is the kitchen version, so this is good.
Yeah, of course.
You had a question for me. You told me off the air before we started. You can get that out of the way.
I do. Have you been watching the Dave Matthews live shows on Wednesday nights?
Drive-in.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they've been nice.
They have been. It's been nice to kind of see those shows again. Well, obviously I haven't seen all of them. Always nice to see the, his live stuff and how his sets change from show to show. And Sarah, are you a big Dave fan too?
I am. Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm not going to be able to convince my wife to be as big a Dave fan as I am. She'll tolerate going to the concerts with me, and sometimes she'll tolerate watching those the Wednesday nights. But I'm telling you right now, and Drew knows this, that if there was a Hanson show happening every week, we would be watching every darn one.
We have a quota to hit the Hanson topic every show we do here, John.
I think that's kind of how it goes. I think everyone needs to know that my wife, 35 years old, is a huge fan of Hanson.
I picture her like giving you a scowl from behind the computer right now. But
I'm sure she's probably downstairs making fun of me. I actually where I am. While you're in your lovely kitchen with the the wine rack up above you, I am in my son's bedroom. This is his little shark tent that I've been hanging out with. It's been my friend.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I've been hanging. He has the largest room of the house. Basically, his room is the attic. So it's the entire third floor. And so when this all went down, I told him I was taking a corner of it. He was less than impressed to begin with, but I think he's got used to it.
All right. Well, blink twice if you're in trouble up there.
Sure, I will.
I saw you take a stab there at the Dave Matthews song that you posted on Facebook there. John plays a little guitar too. And
oh gosh, that's right. I did do that, didn't I? Number 41.
Well, you did 41. Yeah. Dave is not an easy man to try to play. He's got all funky stuff going on.
Indeed. I can't say that I play it anywhere near as well as he does. I play chords where what he's able to do with finger picking is amazing. Between I remember when he came out, it was like, oh wow, he's so good at finger picking. And then John Mayer came out and people were like, Dave Matthews is the worst finger picker I've ever seen because of what John Mayer could do.
The thing about John Mayer is just technically an animal. Dave always said, I used to like Dave's line of, I'm not some great guitar aficionado, but I am unique, which is definitely true. So
oh yeah.
Learning his stuff, it's like, all right, well, nobody does that.
It's true. And watching like how far he can stretch his hands down the neck of the guitar from fret to fret. It's insanity, absolute insanity.
So you mentioned the streaming. So Sarah here is she likes the streams, I think is fair to say. I love the streaming.
It's a concert every night in our house.
Like this is,
oh sure.
This is what I do now for my live music fix, and I feel like I need more of it. Like it's like one of your favorite artists is in town every night. It's like, well, we got to watch it. And
I know.
My wife is basically where I'm going with this. I think I've gone too much again.
Too far. Sometimes you need a storyline, something other
well,
music.
100%. I mean, my wife and I, we have our shows that we watch. You know, we kind of keep it rarely regular. If I'm watching the Dave Matthews, it's not on the TV. Come on, don't be silly. I'm sitting there.
TV.
Drew. I sit there. I have to sit there with my laptop. I mean, she told me the first time that I would be able to do it, but I find that because I spend my time sitting up here in this office, and she spends most of her days downstairs with 3 screaming children, that whatever she wants to do or watch in the evening, she's more than welcome to do.
Fair enough.
Well, while we work out this marriage counseling, let's be clear. I usually offer up the remote and say, I'll just watch it on my phone like you. Here, you take this. But then she usually knows that what I really want is to watch it on the TV, and then she defers. So it's bad.
Hey, you know what? My brother-in-law's from Minnesota. And the rule is he will always defer unless you ask him 3 times. It's like Midwest is what they do, apparently. Once you ask him a 3rd time, he may say yes.
Wow, a 3-time rule. I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. So maybe that would work. And if she says no a 3rd time, that means you are good to go, and you can use that against her.
Bad idea. A few more times.
You've done it again, Sean. Thank you, sir.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. My wife and I made it work for 7 years, so
there you go. That'll be $150.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get the business part out of the way. How is the Firehouse? I mean, have you gotten help? And I know it's not open to shows and everything. How are you getting by?
Sure, we've been lucky. So when this all, I guess lucky is a relative term. When this all kind of came about, we've been shut down for just over 2 months. We shut down on March 13th, and we haven't opened our doors since. So we immediately created a campaign. It's called the Phoenix Campaign. We were trying to raise $125,000, which was to help us get through the end of May and a portion of the summer. We've been very lucky so far. The community has stepped up as well as some support from the federal government. But the community has stepped up and helped us raise over $110,000 so far. So we're about $15,000 away from our goal of 125 by the end of May. So we're very thankful for the community for stepping up in that way. But it's still going to be a long road ahead of us. And so a lot of what we're doing is we're planning, but we're planning for worst case scenarios and what it might look like when we are able to reopen, in terms of the amount of people that are going to be able to sit in there, the new types of cleaning protocols that are going to be required and things like that. So it's definitely been a major shift from what I have historically done in terms of overseeing an arts organization, but it has been really interesting, and in a strange way, kind of exciting to be able to oversee what the next steps are and what the next iteration of the Firehouse is going to be after this pandemic.
What kind of, besides, I'm sure you've talked about almost every potential game plan, probably seating spread out, that sort of thing. But
yeah.
What are some other creative things that maybe we're not thinking about on the top of our heads?
In terms of the arts, or in terms of?
Yeah, I just wonder if it's, do you get to a point where it's almost like, we were just talking on the last show we had about how the new concert, there's this place opening and people are literally driving to the parking lot and going to watch a show from the hood of their cars.
Tupelo?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the, is there any, it's a little different for you because you're going to want to keep it in that theater. So that's kind of the.
Well, as much as we can, yes, but I don't think that's, I think we need to realize that that's going to be a tough thing to ask people to do for a little while. People are going to be concerned about coming out to do live theater. So I think there's opportunity to look at how to do some things virtually, and where there have been some organizations that have been doing that a little bit more regularly. We're getting into that game. We just started doing a Monday morning family dance party at 11:30 every Monday on our Facebook page. This Friday, we're going to be doing an audition tape workshop. I'm working on the Firehouse Cabaret, which is what I've put quarantine and cabaret together. So it's a quarantine cabaret. We're calling it a cabaret because hey, you can make up your own words during this time. No one cares. No one knows what's going on. And we're looking into different streaming platforms that we might be able to do that can offer the potential of having some in-person performances while also streaming. But a lot of that depends on the rights companies and their willingness to allow streaming to happen. That's a tough part of being the business that we're in, is that we don't own the rights to anything that we produce. We have to get permission to do all of that stuff. So trying to work with all these different groups to be able to offer something has proven to be a challenge, but I think that it's going to force a lot of us to be more creative in our thinking, which is a good thing.
Well, you guys tend to be a group that is strong when it comes to creativity, so you got that going for you.
Yeah, I think so.
It must be pretty flattering to get that kind of community support right off the bat, though, because what did you say the number was again?
We've raised over 110,000 so far.
Pretty incredible. That pretty much cements how important, how much of a staple your place is to the community, which I know just from spending so much time there. But anyway, anybody you talk to about the art scene in Newburyport and the whole Merrimack Valley, it's one of the first places that is always talked about, all the way Cape Ann area. Everybody always talks about the Firehouse Center for the Arts, but now
I'll take the flattery. I think you're being too kind.
Well, no, it is. It always comes up. Every musician that comes in loves that place. How could you not love playing that nice theater?
It's true. It's a nice intimate space. So yeah, it's been great. Like I said, we had obviously we got some support from PPP, but the majority of the financing fundraising has come from the community. The community itself has given us over $60,000, which is just amazing.
And you can't. I'm sure you thought you knew your fans and you knew the community would come out a bit, but I mean, other people are going through hard times too. I'm sure part of you was like, I wonder if people can even swing this right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a thought process that everybody has. Like, this is what we need, but everyone else, there's so, like you said, there's so many other groups and organizations that need the support just as much, if not more than we do. And I'm happy that people are supportive and want to keep the arts alive. And at the same time, I'm also just as happy that probably a lot of those same people are also supporting the food banks, and the shelters that are working double, triple, quadruple overtime to support. And they're also going and supporting the hospital, because I mean, Anna Jakes is a major operation in Newburyport. And so the fact that we're able to be a part of what people feel is important to help continue post pandemic, I think is really a testament to the Firehouse and the organization that has been growing over the past 30 years.
As you look at post life here, this was going to come up at some point during our conversation, but you and I, as already mentioned, are big concert going guys. We all are, Sarah included, and your wife, especially when Hanson's involved.
Always.
But I mean, that for me is just so jarring to think about the possibility. I mean, even if we start to get back to normal, I just can't imagine packing people in like sardines to a club or even a bigger venue. I mean, what are you going to do? Have 3 seats in between people? I mean, the whole concert deal is good. And I'm sure, I know at a smaller level, you guys are dealing with that too, but what do you think of the concert and theater life going forward? Maybe a vaccine changes it all, but until then?
Maybe. I mean, I think it's all going to change. There was a great article. I forget what publication it was from, but the name of it was my industry is not bouncing back the way yours is. And it was all talking about the arts and how it thrives on that human interaction, that being close to each other, that all getting in, all jumping up and down, or all like putting their arms around each other during a Peter Yarrow concert because he's into that type of stuff. When we're doing Puff the Magic Dragon, when he's calling everybody up on stage. I mean, it's going to be, as they say, it's going to be a brave new world where there's going to need to be, I think different mediums in which people are taking in the arts and taking it in, where you're going to have to be thinking about spacing for the next, at the very least until early 2021, if not beyond. And again, that all goes back to what the government says you're able to do, and also what the health experts say you're going to be able to do. So, I mean, I think that all that we can do in this business is pay attention, listen to what the health experts are saying, listen to what the government is mandating, and just do the best we can to bring that experience back in a safe way.
So our jobs here are intertwined a little bit. We know a lot of the same people and a lot of the local musicians and
Sure.
theater goers or whoever, just everybody involved in the arts. And it really is a struggle right now. I've been saying on a lot of these shows, like you see especially the musicians that I have had on recently that have played for us a little bit, they all do the live streaming, and the live streaming is great. As we mentioned, I watch a bunch of them, but that when they're doing that, I mean, it's just not a huge revenue booster for them. I mean, these people make their lives on playing theaters like yours, or at least bars, restaurants, all these places. Right. It's just such a grind right now. And I really feel for those people.
I do too. Cause I mean, it's also a completely different energy. I mean, most musicians thrive off the crowd and thrive off the energy coming from the people that are there to support them. So, I think they're all trying really hard to put on the best show that they absolutely can. But I do agree that I think it's difficult. It's difficult for them from a stamina standpoint, as well as from a revenue standpoint, because when you're going from getting X amount of dollars at a guaranteed at a venue to, this is my Venmo. If you feel like giving me a little bit, I'd really appreciate it. It's just a completely different thing, because everybody is struggling. Everybody feels that they're struggling. So, I mean, people are looking for the arts to help them through it. But I don't think that people always realize that it still costs money, and it still is a revenue generator. I think the I can't remember who said this either or where I saw this. I think it was on Facebook somewhere, but somebody posted that, remember that when this all happened, when this pandemic all happened, remember where you turned. You turned to the arts. You turned to your favorite band. You turned to your favorite TV show. You turned to your favorite movie, or you turned to your live stream. Like that's where we as a people go for our respite. So the arts has long been forgotten, I think, by a lot of groups. So I think that the more the realization is that when you're going home at night after or when you're stuck at home, that's where you're turning. You're turning to the arts. So the more that you can do to support what we're trying to do, the better it's going to be for your future.
See that, Sarah? That's why every night the live stream's okay. See? No.
As long as you ask 3 times.
Again, we're joined here by John Moynihan, the Firehouse Center for the Arts Executive Director. Sarah, you got one for John?
I guess I haven't looked at the schedule or anything for this summer. Were there some big acts and stuff that you were looking forward to that now you're not sure if they're going to happen or not?
Well, we've closed for the summer.
Oh, you're completely closed all summer.
We're completely shut down for the entire summer. We were one of the first to do that, but there have been many that have followed since then. Including most of the folks. I mean, I live in the seacoast of New Hampshire, so most of those groups have all canceled. Most of Massachusetts theaters have canceled for the season. I think the only one that I know that might be looking for something is Barrington Stage, which is out in Western Mass. Is potentially looking to do some smaller stuff come August. But no, I mean, we did have some pretty decent folks that were scheduled to come. We had Glenn Miller Orchestra that was going to be coming in April that we postponed until September. John Gorka, and Glenn Miller sold out the 2 shows that we did with them in 2018. They would have sold out these shows. John Gorka would have sold out. We had the Kingston Trio coming for 2 shows that would have sold out. We were going to do All Shook Up this summer. It's an Elvis Presley jukebox musical. We were going to do The Wizard of Oz in July, and then we were going to close out the season with Kiss Me Kate. And these are our big times of year. This is the time where the tourists come in. They're looking for art and things to do. So, I mean, ultimately, we're looking at losing anywhere from 25 to 30% of our overall operating budget revenue because of this. We're looking at a minimum of about $300,000 lost. So,
well, that's as grim as that is. I get the impression talking to you, though, that there's a forward looking here that you guys are going to be okay, though, getting through this on the other side, no matter how that looks, right?
I think, yeah. I mean, I think due to the support of the community and due to some of the the things that we have that I think we have coming up that I think will at least be interesting enough that people will be interested in what we're doing. I think that we 100% have the opportunity to make it through this and come back in a different way, which every organization goes through over their life cycle. We were looking to make some variations in what we were doing anyway. So this just allows us a bit more time to flesh it out.
Well, that is optimistic right there. Yes.
Hey, you got to be optimistic because the other possibility in my eyes, the other possibility just isn't isn't an acceptable possibility.
Well, that's what makes you good at what you do. And speaking of that, I was telling Sarah a little bit here off the air that you're the guy that tends to go after and get a lot of these acts. You pretty much book everybody over there, right?
I work with a booking partner, but yeah.
You have stories though. I think I always forget with you what we've talked about off the air and on the air. But what's the story of like the behind the scenes? Like you really wanted this guest, you thought you had this person, they went away. You thought they had him, he went away. What was like the most annoying trip down booking lane for you?
Oh man. Quite honestly, I don't really think I have one. I think a lot of it, I've been pretty lucky in getting who I wanted. I think there have been times where what gets frustrating is you go to an agent, like, okay, these are the dates that I have. Like, okay, let me check with the artist. Yeah, we have those dates. They're like, great, let's lock it in. 3 weeks later, the tour shifted. Can you do February? No, I don't have those dates. What's next? Well, he's back here again in June. Okay, let's book it. Tour changed. How's it look in November? So I think it's just trying to continue to work with that. I think that can be where it can get most frustrating. And I also think it's funny when you offer, okay, I have this Wednesday, Thursday available. Any chance you have the Friday, Saturday? Well, no. If I had the Friday, Saturday, I would tell you I had a Friday, Saturday. It's like, this is what I got. But, I mean, ultimately, it's their job to try to get the artist the most revenue that they can get. So I always understand it, but it's just like, well, if I had it, I'd let you know.
That is funny. Let's do a little trip down memory lane. How did you land at the Firehouse Center for the Arts? What's the background?
Sure. So I was with Prescott Park Arts Festival in Portsmouth for about 10 years, between being there seasonally as an actor and a seasonal contractor to being full-time for about 6. And honestly, because kind of the way it worked out was that I heard that 3S Art Space, which is in Portsmouth, was looking for a new executive director, and they'd hired this woman named Beth Falconer, who used to be who was at the Firehouse Center for the Arts. I was like, oh, where's that? Oh, Newburyport. That's not too far. And I'd also been looking, I've been looking for what my next step was, because I had made it to the top of where I could be at Prescott Park at that time. The gentleman who was the president there during that time was not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. And there was just no more upward momentum. I'd gone as high as I could. So I wanted to take the opportunity. I wanted to look for an opportunity to be able to shape my own arts organization. And the Firehouse just happened to be an organization that was looking for new leadership and looking for a change in the way they had been doing things. And I was lucky enough to be able to interview for the job and ultimately get it. So,
and here you are.
And here I am. Drew and Sarah.
Yes. In our kitchen.
In our kitchen. Like I said, I have a shark behind me, so.
That is true. I think
I don't judge.
We might have to end the show with you hiding out in there. That might be your.
I think that is perfectly okay. I've done that before.
Again, John Moynihan joining us here, Executive Director, Firehouse Center for the Arts. Portsmouth, by the way, is last summer. That was last summer. It feels like 20 years ago now. But we took it.
Doesn't it all? The last 8 weeks have been 8 years.
It's unbelievable. I believe we're not far from Portsmouth. We're here in Danvers, Massachusetts, which is like, I don't know, 40 minutes maybe to Portsmouth.
Right.
We should spend more time in it. It was an excellent little downtown experience. We did the Prescott Park thing. We actually saw the Wood Brothers there that night.
Yeah.
Who I guess have played there quite regularly over the years.
Yeah, I think that's their 4th time.
4th time? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we love them. I almost think, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, maybe it was the perfect fit, but I was almost getting the feeling that the Wood Brothers had gotten a little bit maybe too big for that area, because that seemed to be like, this is a moment that you couldn't help but laugh. But I mean, these things happen at concerts, but everybody's kind of there before they start playing, laying out on their blankets, picnics and all that. And then like, 10 minutes before the show, there's just like a wave of like people that kind of crowd rush.
Yep.
You almost have like a pit set up. And it's
Yep.
like, sorry to the people on the blankets behind. Yeah.
I know. And at the festival, we've always tried to not allow that to happen, but there's nothing you can do. There's only so much crowd control that people will take.
I did one thing I noticed about that night though, and I mean, it was obvious what had happened and stuff. There's no way of stopping it. I've seen it happen at a million places, but the people on the blankets and stuff were very cool about it. People kept looking, they were like, yeah, it's fine. We're good. We can listen.
Depends on the band.
Yeah.
Depends on the band for sure, because that brings different audience members and depends on whether or not they're okay with it.
You have a bad experience, do you? I'm going to need that story.
Well, so when I was at the festival, one of my jobs was to there's a painted white line that we use chalk paint to do that they've used for many years. And my job was to keep the chair people behind that line, let the blank people go in front of it. And so, everyone was always cool. And there was always the few people was like, but my chair's low enough. It's like, does it have 4 legs? Then no, it is not. If you're up off the ground, it is a chair. Get on the line, deal with it. So then what would happen is what you just talked about, people would then rush to stage, and all those people that I had to go talk to would be like, well, why aren't you talking to them? You yelled at me about having my chair in the wrong spot. But you these people just rush the stage, dance in front of everybody. What's the point of showing up early? Just the whole thing. One time when Steve Earle was there, we had a woman who was rolling around on the front of the stage. It was quite an interesting, and of course, Steve Earle is an older artist.
Yeah.
This woman was not a spring chicken doing this.
She was, wait, hang on. She was a fan. It was rolling on the stage.
Yeah, we had to kindly remove her.
I'm not sure I've ever, I can't even picture that. She climbs to the stage and rolls.
Yeah, it was kind of like she was trying to do like I don't know, like those bicycle kick type of things where she was sitting on the stage and then putting her legs up and over. It was cool.
Oh no.
Oh yes. That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that'll happen. See, that's what I miss about the live concert experience.
And you can't do that in most venues. They don't let you up that close, but at Prescott Park, they typically let you go right to the edge if you want to.
Man, I wonder, now that I think about it, I didn't mean to go in the Prescott Park direction here, but do the outdoor venues have a bit of an advantage for your place at the Firehouse just being?
Honestly, I don't think so, because they tend to shove everybody in there a bit tighter in those open air spaces.
Yeah, they keep saying that. Like, even like I heard somebody talk about, well, maybe like Mansfield can work being outside. I'm like, have you ever been to Mansfield? Like, seriously,
I'm pretty sure they oversell the lawn seating just for fun, just to see how many people they can fit there.
Yeah, sure, we got tickets.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing up in Guilford at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion. Dare I call it Meadowbrook?
Yeah, it's actually, I love that place though for shows.
It is. I've been to a few shows up there, and I've enjoyed the general admission grass seating more than I have the times I've sat in actual seats. There's so much you can move around. You can move around a bit more. There was one night I was just thinking about Mansfield overbooking, and we had texted about Tom Petty here before the show, and I remember when Tom Petty did his this is my last tour, but it wasn't his last tour. It was his last regular summer tour, so he wasn't going to do every summer. Yeah, is that the one with the Black Crowes? Yeah, I think it was the Black Crowes, yeah. Yeah. And, how it ended up playing out, I think, was he took the next summer off and then kept going every summer anyway. But the fact that he said that, people were under the impression, oh my goodness, this is Petty and the Heartbreakers' last chance to see him. So it made Mansfield the most
sought after ticket. Like I remember a bunch of us drove there with no tickets thinking that, we could do the maybe late box office or somebody would have extras. There was nothing. I mean, the sketchy scalpers had nothing too.
Man, that's saying something.
If you can put myself in, and this would be, I think, high school Drew position. So high school Drew has since grown up, but there was a thought of.
Is that true, Sarah?
somebody had the brilliant idea of let's climb the back fence to the lawn.
Oh, that's
good.
Yeah, I think she's heard this story, and. So there were several groups doing it, and you know what? At that point, it looked like the thing to do. It really did. So people are going over and climbing the fence to get to the lawn, which an unusual amount of people ended up into this place. Not as a bigger guy, I was one of the ones helping hoist the people. And fun security guard, whose face I will never forget, starts running after us. I got the last person over and made the jet for myself, and me and my buddy got ripped down from the fence and thrown to the grass in a back. I can still feel it certain times.
Sure.
And the look of satisfaction on this guy's face. We didn't get in trouble or anything. He thought it was pretty comical, but he had this look of victory on his face that I'll never forget.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I'd say you let 35 people go before us here, man. But
right? You couldn't just let 37. Like, come on.
I know. But Tom Petty, the lawn was packed that night. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who's a big Petty fan, and we ended up. Oh no, sorry. He was a big Black Crowes fan, and Petty just happened to be playing with them. So I went to go see that show with him.
That's a unique story on that one. Yeah. You know what's really annoying about the Tom Petty is making the Black Crowes tickets really tough.
I know, exactly, yeah. So then I went, and then I offered to him to come see Dave Matthews with me when Dave played Fenway, and he said he turned down the opportunity to see Dave at Fenway. So I went by myself and had a heck of a time. I had just turned. It was 2007, so I was 22. I just graduated college. Boy, I could do no wrong. And boy, those beers went down easy that night.
Those were 2007, I believe. Was that Sheryl Crow opening?
Don't remind me.
It was Sheryl Crow.
It was Sheryl Crow, and she ended the set with Led Zeppelin's "Been a Long Time Since I Rock and Roll," and it just ruined that song for me for a while.
The headline of this.
I hope there are no big Sheryl Crow fans listening.
I was going to say that we might save the title of the shows. Local theater executive director attacks Sheryl Crow.
Oh man!
You know what's funny, actually? So you actually saw Sheryl Crow that night. We had one of my buddy's fathers, Mr. McNeil, great guy if I remember correctly. Had some points on his hotel that he needed to use, and got a bunch of my high school guys a nice little hotel room in Boston, which was very cool at that age.
Yeah,
we were hanging out there, and
is this still high school? This is probably still high school, Drew, right?
That would have been mid high school, yeah. So junior, no, 2007.
7?
Oh yeah, that is college. That's college. 07 would have been college.
I'm pretty sure we're the same age, Drew. Geez, I'm not sure. I was in high school in 2007, but
I'm getting younger. Haven't you heard?
Your hair's getting longer for sure.
We can discuss that later. It's an ongoing topic.
Trust me, there's a reason why I have this hat on.
Yeah. Well, and then, I'll finish the story and go back to that because I missed all of Sheryl Crow as apparently it was moved by me.
Yeah.
By accident.
Were you about to say something about seeing The Head and the Heart open for Dave?
No. Did they open for Dave?
I thought you said that.
No.
Yeah, in 2013, they were touring with him.
Were we oblivious to that?
What were we doing?
I'm sure
they didn't open the entire summer for him. So I don't think they played Mansfield with him. And the only reason why I know that is because they took a break from their opening for Dave Matthews to do their own little mini tour, and they played Prescott Park.
Oh, that would have been nice too.
See, we caught on to them late, The Head and the Heart, and now it's like one of the bands that we listen to the most. We think they're great.
Which is your favorite album?
Ooh, You know, see, that's the problem when you jump on late is sometimes the construction of the stuff is weird. They all kind of jumble together for me now in the Spotify world.
I wish
That's
I
fair.
music more in albums now, because like I used to when there were like CDs and stuff. But
Yeah.
Spotify, it's kind of like you just listen to everything all
Yeah. I still think my similar to them and like the Lone Bellow, the first album that they came out with I thought was very much them, and then they tried to go like I think Lone Bellow went much further than Head in the Heart did in terms of trying to be a bit more mainstream. But I still think the first Head in the Heart album, which is I think just the Head in the Heart, is my favorite one. But I, similar to you, Drew, I like to start whenever I get into like a new band. If I hear their latest one, I like to try to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
First
album, try to listen to them through to hear the progression to how they got to where they were. Because sometimes if I don't like where they are now, I like where they were.
Yeah.
So I can still enjoy the band.
Well, that I'm actually looking at the now that you said that, I pulled it up just to see that song list of the initial album. I mean, that is an epic album.
That would be
it. It is.
It's gotta be that.
Yeah.
There's some even some of their non big songs. I said that.
Yeah.
Like Winter Song and all that stuff. I love that.
Yep. I think my favorite memory from Head in the Heart was when they were they did their encore and they ended the show with Rivers and Roads.
Yeah.
And so at the end of that song, it's just the bass and the snare hit it. So they all put down their instruments and they all got around on this tiny drum riser. And the entire band is sitting on there, all hitting different parts of the drums and all the kids. It was really cool seeing them all together in that way, and ending. It was an epic way to end the show.
And it's cool. We saw them at the Agganis Arena at BU this past week. And it's funny too because it was kind of an odd night. I don't know if it was I think it was a weekend night, but I don't know that I've had some weird experiences at that place. The Agganis Arena for some reason. Like, it's not much.
I've never been.
You've never been?
Never been.
It's like your typical, now I'm going to get heat for hating on Agganis Arena, but it's like it's small enough, but like, it's like just this like cookie cutter place of just like, there's like no character to it. And I don't know, like I remember I saw Paul Simon there when I was in college. My dad and I went to see Paul Simon, and my dad couldn't believe it. He was like, this place is like 70% full. Paul Simon can't see, and it was just weird, like marketing. Like it's weird being in Kenmore Square practically, having these big acts and like feeling like nobody on the street really knows it's going on. You know, it's a
right
feeling. I felt that way about Paul Simon, and I really felt that way about the Head and the Heart. And it was like kind of I don't know, not a quiet crowd, but definitely more of a sit down listening and not a packed place. I was thinking, it must have been a disappointment for them. I was thinking.
Well, Head in the Heart, again, I'm a big fan of them. They hit their peak like 4 years ago. I still think they're really good, and I still think they play great music. But they definitely hit their peak at the same time when like Mumford and Sons was big. I mean, Mumford and Sons, you barely hear about them anymore. Also, they completely changed their sound, which is so strange. But it was that real big push for a while of like the Americana folk music scene that was huge. And I mean, I'm sorry, what did you say, Drew?
Lumineers too were following in that.
Oh yeah, Lumineers. Yeah, I mean, and they've all kind of hit the Oh Hellos. Remember them?
Yeah.
So they all kind of hit their peak at the same time, and they all still do well. But I saw Head in the Heart at Thompson Point a couple years back.
What venue that is, by the way.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. But it wasn't full.
Yeah.
So it was just, and it is. I think it's one of those things where, going back to what I was talking about, the agent trying to do what's best for the band, but or what they feel is best in order to get the biggest payday. But at the end of the day, like we were talking about earlier, it comes down to the energy in the room. If the energy is not there, the show is just not going to be there.
Yeah, and he's an interesting front man too. He's like kind of chilled out, kind of in his own zone, not necessarily.
Well, he wasn't always.
Oh, is that right? Back in the day.
Back in the day, he's kind of chill. They almost kicked him out of the band.
Yeah, they've had some weird. There's a lot of shift changes in that band because anyway, we won't make it a Head in the Heart show, but
seriously, because now it's going to be local executive director rips music scene, while radio host disses arts venues, music venues.
This got ugly quickly. The Portland place there, the Thompson Point. Have you been going there like your whole life? Because I stumbled upon that.
No.
I couldn't believe it was like this hidden gem. I went there like 2 summers ago, and I couldn't believe it. It's the best place going.
Well, it hasn't been around forever. I don't know exactly how long it's been around, but I only been to that one. I only went to that one show there, and then the Future Birds did a post show afterwards in like a warehouse. It was quite interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be okay. Yeah, we were in that place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done that.
We've done that. I know the post show in the warehouse is quite interesting also.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
We enjoyed that tape. We actually did back-to-back nights there of this was a great little double shot. We did Lord Huron, who we're really into.
Yep.
Followed by Dispatch.
Oh.
Which was a nice 1-2 punch.
Seriously.
Dad actually said during that show that he said it was the one that he thinks reminds him most of the big night at the Hat Shell.
When they did their farewell
tour, yeah.
Farewell tour, their final show. Yeah.
What's that? Did you have another one? Sorry, I'm talking my.
No, that's okay.
She likes it when I run with questions. So, what was the last concert you have seen here with 3 young kids and pre-pandemic?
Not at the Firehouse?
Yeah, I can't count the Firehouse.
Yeah. Well, Drew,
it was Hanson
at House of Blues.
They played House of Blues. Wow, we should have gone.
They do. They play House of Blues fairly regularly. Like every couple of years they play. That was our second time seeing them at House of Blues.
You can't keep the smile off your face as you discuss this.
I love them. My favorite. But my wife is also part of like their fan club, so we got to go to their pre-show sound check, which is kind of cool. There's only like a couple hundred people there, so we were pretty close at that point. So I mean, it's fun. I mean, I'm a big fan of music. Their music's not okay. Their music's not bad. It's really not. Like they've really grown into their own over the years. They've moved on from MMMBop, and they actually are good musicians. And they did this really cool album that we saw a couple years ago. I can't remember whether it was at the Wilbur or the Orpheum, either one of them, one of the venues. But they took all their old music and they put it to created like a string orchestra that played behind it. So they called the album String Theory. And I'm a big, for whatever reason, I'm a big fan of big band. So like strings or like orchestra, like that stuff really does it for me. So that was a really cool concert.
I have to take issue with something you said when you said, they have moved on from MMMBop. I don't think anybody actually moves on from MMMBop.
It's true. Don't get me wrong. They sing it every show, every show. And he always mentions, he goes, some of you may have first heard about us with this song. And then the crowd goes crazy because oh my God, here comes MMMBop. 1998's calling.
I was going to say, tell me they played something else other than that. That'd be
no. They just played MMMBop over and over again, and they sold out the place.
That would be a good bit. Some of you may have played this song back in the day, and then you play something like not so big off that album. That'd be good.
Or they play like Sweet Caroline.
Oh, don't. So did you see the show we had where we had the Red Sox DJ on, and I pressed him on the Sweet Caroline situation.
I did not.
It's worth a watch. He's an interesting
guy.
DJ Conley, great guy, and a lot of unique behind the scenes stuff too that he gave us. But I had to ask him, Sweet Caroline? Has it been discussed? Because it's safe to say, I don't hate it, but I'm pretty close to hating it.
Wow.
I think it's the, I see your disappointment. Yeah. I think it's,
Yeah. Sarah shares it.
oh, she does. Yeah. I'm used to that look. Trust me. Down 10-2 in the 8th inning. I'm sorry. I can't be doing the bump, bump, buzz. I just can't.
Why? That's just part of, it's part of the joy.
Go ahead. Take it away, Sarah. Go ahead.
Well, you're not saying you want to get rid of it completely. You want to get rid of it when the Red Sox are losing.
That's true. That's why I don't hate it. I think it's fine. We can all do it. I just don't think it has to be every single time in the 8th inning. I think it can be nice moments late in the game.
I think it's because we're spoiled. We've actually seen like the Red Sox win. I think for the 80 years before 2004, everyone was like, give me something, some sort of joy. And so when that song came out in the 70s, we're like, okay, here we go.
You have to think of the tourists too who travel.
No.
That's right. That's right. It's not all about you, Drew.
Yeah.
See, yeah. You have to think of the tourist. You know, you don't have to think of the tourist. What you're there for is an experience. And what do you love best about the live concert, right? What do you love about Dave Matthews? When people
He doesn't do his new songs.
Yeah, sure. When people, when people say to you, because I'm assuming it's the same answer as me, how do you go see him so many times? And I say, I have never seen the same show twice. It's a different show.
Right. Right.
Why do you need this predictability at a baseball game?
Because people need predictability in their lives. They need something. They need something that they can turn back to. When all is wrong in the world, they know that during the 8th inning of a Boston Red Sox game, they can go bop, bop, ba, so good, so good, so good.
And the baseball game is going to be different.
No, the baseball.
That's true. That's true.
The baseball game, I would argue, is the predictable. You're going to get 9 innings of baseball.
Maybe more.
Maybe less, randomly.
Maybe less. Maybe only 8.5.
But you're going to.
And either way, there's going to be a stretch where you are bored out of your mind.
Oh man, we're hitting too many good notes with Sarah here.
We'll go just for the music.
It's true. It's true. The walk up music.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite parts of the game.
You disappoint me, Sarah. There was a great thing about the walk-up music too. And TJ was talking about how they pick those things and how they kind of organically develop, unlike Sweet Caroline in the 8th inning, and that whole process and how big pop.
Do you want to get rid of God Bless America too? Like, what's going on here, Drew?
I have my own thoughts on God Bless America.
Jeez. And this was Drew's last show.
God bless, you know why This Land Is Your Land was written by Woody Guthrie.
Oh yeah, it was a protest song.
In response to Irving Berlin's God Bless America, because he didn't think that represented the America that he was living in. See that?
There you go. But Irving Berlin, he can't. I mean, come on. The man is a legend.
It's fine. Take me out to the ball game. It's all fine. I'll take any of it right now. Let's just leave it at that. Again, John Moynihan joining us here from the Firehouse Center for the Arts. It's been interesting. I do wonder, as far as like you said, September you're scheduled to open back up. Are you still? Is that in pencil or pen or how are we phrasing that?
Everything's in pencil, because again, we're hopeful. We're hopeful that September can happen, but again, it comes down to whatever the governor is supposed to speak and give his I think it's I can't remember. There's 3 or 4 phases, but his phase plan and
4 phases. What phase do you think you're in?
Whatever the last one is.
Yeah, that's definitely.
That's what I. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what any type of arts venue is anticipating, that no matter how hard we fight and we advocate for it, people still don't see the arts as an essential part of what you need for your livelihood. But as I said earlier, I would go back to what, to what it was that you turned to when the whole world fell apart. You turned to the arts. So remember that.
Where can people go, by the way? I don't want to forget that. Where can people go if they want to? I'm sure there's plenty of people that have been to your.
Oh, sure.
Want to support it? Go ahead, drop it.
Sure. They're going to go to firehouse.org, and on the top menu bar there's something that says the Phoenix Campaign. Click on there. That tells you what we got going on and gives the opportunity to donate if you so choose. And then, going back to kind of your point or your question, Drew, about what phase do I think we're in? I mean, I think we'll be able to fully reopen by the time we get to that fourth phase, but I think there are probably areas within some of the earlier phases that we might fit in depending on crowd size and cleaning capabilities and responsibilities that we're going to have moving forward. So I think there's opportunity for us to be looking at different phases, but without really knowing what said phases are. Who knows? I just think, I think even when you look at the federal guidelines, any type of large gathering isn't until the later phases. So.
Gotcha. Let's see. We've done this with you before, but real quick, let's do rapid fire because we can work through this pretty quickly here to end the show.
Oh boy!
I know it might be we'll hit on some repeats, but it's I find it's being a little bit of a different audience here with the live from Drew's house edition. Yeah. We're getting people are feeling like it's a less not less Newburyport centric, but it's we've just expanded. I think it's a good thing in a lot of ways.
Agreed.
So let's do it. Favorite concert of all time.
Fenway, Dave Matthews.
Even with the Sheryl Crow opener.
Even with Sheryl Crow. It's a close second to Fenway, James Taylor. Both are very good. Yeah. But any venue, Fenway, or any. By
yourself, which I can do. Do you know how many people would be like, what? How can you do that? It's a perfectly fine experience.
Certainly is, especially because you can take the T. And where I grew up in Natick, I could take the T right to downtown Natick on the way home. Have my dad pick me up. It was great.
Yeah, it's good. Favorite musician?
Dave Matthews.
Dave, yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know why. I've always been a big fan.
Me too.
I like his songwriting. I think it's mostly the songwriting.
He's nice. He's that guy that is great with the band and just stripped down by himself or with Tim.
Yeah. I gotta say though, when he lets Tim kind of do his own solo during the Dave and Tim, I'm like, okay, I can skip that song.
Yeah.
Great guitarist, but I don't really feel like hearing like, okay.
So as I do
you, Tim.
Fire game here, which I tend to do. The live at Radio City, Lie in Our Graves.
Oh yeah.
You know the story behind that the exact sound that you were just making?
No.
They had that song has never made an album of the Dave and Tim series.
Okay.
It was, he's gonna do it. This is being recorded. This is perfect. And Dave and Tim apparently had a bet backstage that he could not play that solo and stay within one note. And if you listen to that, it's just him playing the one note and just kind of going within that note. And people are like, what happened there?
That's awesome. I'm gonna listen to that now and figure it out.
And I think it was live at Radio City, but that's
yeah.
It's just typical of them. Hey, I got a bet for you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like when a similar thing when Dave cracked a rib because he tripped while eating pretzels. It's just I was like, yeah, that's what happened.
These pretzels were making me thirsty.
Exactly.
Favorite movie?
Jurassic Park.
Ooh, good one. Favorite comedian?
Ooh. I don't really have one. To be quite honest, I don't really watch comedy specials.
Gotcha. Okay. We're in a Seinfeld kick right now. Seinfeld just dropped his new thing. I find him to be
grape nuts. What they're all about. No grapes, no nuts.
Oh, that's good.
That's a classic Seinfeld.
I think you got Jimmy Fallon beat on that.
Oh, I doubt it. Jimmy Fallon's very good. So I think if I had to think of something he's one of my favorite impersonators, Jimmy Fallon. Like when he does the Have you seen when he did Neil Young Whip My Hair?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's one of the funniest things.
That was Bruce.
No, he did Bruce with Bruce.
Yes, that's what. No, didn't he do the Whip My Hair? Because Bruce was the low voice on that, didn't he?
I thought he did that one solo, but either way, I don't know. I know I could be wrong. You could be right.
Yeah, those impersonations are great. He does. If you look at CBS this morning, Jimmy Fallon does harmonica impressions. It's
Okay.
like, and there's a great line that always stuck with me, and he's talking about he talks about like Springsteen. He kind of does this harmonica. Neil Young's more this. Bob Dylan, he goes, I'm pretty sure Bob doesn't actually know how to play the harmonica. He just kind of blows into it really high, but it kind of works because it's Bob Dylan. And
It's true. I mean, Bob Dylan is, again, he's a prolific, to me, he's like Leonard Cohen, prolific songwriter, should maybe leave the singing to somebody else.
Yeah.
But he's great in his own way.
He's beautiful on certain songs from back in the day, really, but a lot of the just kind of got into this I don't really care phase, and I'm going to sing it this way for the last.
Here we go, Bob Dylan. Yeah.
Karina, go listen to that one. He sounds beautiful on that.
All right, I will.
You like that one?
I love that
She
song.
loves that song. See?
Perfect. Nailed it.
It's like best guest you've ever, or best act, best experience you have ever had at the Firehouse.
At the Firehouse. Would have to say when we had Parsons Field come, they did a really cool holiday show. That was a lot. It was a lot of fun. They were really fun to work with. Good group of people.
Can I ask worst experience, or do we not shame or do we like shaming the guests?
I've had nothing but wonderful experiences. The artists. If you want, I can tell you a story off the air.
Okay, fair enough. I'll tell it during the next show. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. Well, John, this is a pleasure, man. I think with 3 kids, I probably kept you too long here.
Not long enough.
No. Fantastic way to exit. Should you show us the what did we call the thing behind you? The shark tank?
Oh, the shark. Yes. Here I go. I shall.
Usually I would say goodbye and to you and then end the show, but I think I'm just going to end the show with you going into the shark tent.
I think you should have saying, Drew, Sarah, it's been a pleasure. Until the next time, away.
We're going to end it just like that, folks. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. John Moynihan, pleasure as always. Good luck through the summer, man. We hope to be back in your place come fall in some scene, some variety. As soon as possible, we hope to be back in there.
Yeah, keep an eye. We're gonna have some virtual offerings coming up in the next few weeks. So,
All right. Well, it was a pleasure catching up with you. Hope the family's doing all right, and good luck with the 3 young ones. All right.
thank you. You as well. All right. Bye.